Hey, how are you doing? Hope everybody's doing really good as we are coming towards the end of March 2024 and moving into April. So just remember, coming up to the weekend when the clocks are going to spring forward, so you're going to lose that hour of sleep, but we're all moving into that nicer weather, if you like, or a better time of year. So good things to actually go out and do some camping or something like that, if you are so inclined. So the thing is, what I'm saying that for is because in a couple of days we will be in April. So in May, the first weekend in May, there is going to be a festival going on up in Cumbria called wtfestival.co.uk. So if you want to get some tickets and go and check it out, see the speakers that are going on, it's the wtfestival.co.uk. It's near Workington, but they're in a big field. This somewhere, I think it was called Feather Knot or something like that. But go and have a look at the actual facilities that they've got. They've got all kinds of tents that you can go in, and teepees apparently, or called bell tents, something like that. Also, you can go and enjoy your weekend, relaxing, but also listening to a load of speakers going to tell you words that are true. Now, this is a good thing, because there's speakers from all different walks of life, but they are going to be telling you words that are true, and they're all uniting together to pass on a positive message. This is the difference. They're there to pass on a positive message. They're not going to be there backbiting, stabbing each other in the back, or being weird about anything. They're there to help you by helping each other to help you as well. That's what it's supposed to all be about. Unity, uniting everyone, man and woman, under the creator, so we can actually create a better world. We're supposed to be fighting this horrendous, terrible system that are just like breaking the law. And I mean the law. To hell with legislation, right? That's just absolute pointless nonsense anyway. That is the slavery system that they've actually got us in. But that whole like corrupt governmental system are just breaking the laws left, right, and center. In fact, they actually break even their own legislation. They don't care. And now they're not even hiding it. They actually like to laugh at you because they're doing it, and just doing it right in front of your face. So we're supposed to be actually uniting as man and woman to actually help combat this system, raising up the vibration so that we can actually like create a better life and a better planet, and obviously something that our old children and grandchildren, great grandchildren can actually remain in, rather than actually losing it all to some huge fascist regime where we're all going to be looking like the Hunger Games on steroids. You know, Mad Max is not going to have a look in compared to what's going to happen if we don't actually stop the rot that's going on. And you don't do that, right, by not uniting. So anyway, it's going to be on the weekends of the 3rd to the 5th, Friday the 3rd, Sunday the 5th. It's on each of them days. There's loads of stuff going on. So go and have a look, wtfestival.co.uk. Kevin and Nick are organising it. There's a lot of different speakers on. Mark Atwood's going to be there. Matt Letizia is going to be there. Callie Spell. You've got Sovereign Pete, and a lot of other different names. Go and have a look on there, you know, and you can see, and there'll be something for everybody. So, you know, there's a lot of health stuff that's going to be on there as well. It's not just all about, you know, like common law, if that's what you want to call it, although I prefer the term like common decency and common sense. We've been like busy doing interviews with different people, some of them that are actually going to be there as well. Allegedly Dave, he's going to be there speaking. So we've done an interview with him. It's up on the channel, but we've also got others that are coming up soon as well. So we've just sent off all the forms, as we had heard on that telephone conversation, to the DVLA, asking them, all right, then what is this thing about the V888 and talking about the manufacturer certificate of origin? Do you really have it? Are you keeping it from us? Have you actually breached this contract law by not giving us full disclosure? We want to know. So we've actually done that, you know, and sent it off and seen what's going to happen. Interesting. So we're waiting on the reply, and we'll not know. But the whole thing, it's about a low deal title. And you hear a lot of people talking about a low deal title. And how do you get it? And how do I deregister my car? Well, this isn't, I suppose it is about deregistering, but we need to find out if they do really have this certificate. You know, I've actually spoken about this many times, about the manufacturer certificate of origin, knowing that that is what actually creates it as your own private property. And as we know, property, it's the highest right of man, but you have to actually physically own it, right? When we're talking about the manufacturer certificate of origin, we know when we're dealing with custom made, say, trikes, right, or motorbikes and that kind of thing, or cars, that if they've been made that way, then they are tax exempt. They don't have to be registered. You don't create your own creation and then go and register it, apart from if it's a child, unfortunately, you know. But that's the way that it is. We need to look into ways of actually not registering our children. Regis, giving it to the crown. That's what it actually means. We don't want to be doing that. I know a few that have done that very successfully. Some of them are actually personal friends of mine. So, you know, we're in touch regularly. So, and they've been fine. They haven't had their houses knocked down and anything crazy or anything like that. So but that's just what it's all about, being free out of the slave system. Because that's what the whole thing is, the actual legal system, or let's call it the legal society, all right? There isn't a legal society. You know, I said that before, and someone says, I've been researching that for ages, like when you said that, and Googling it, I can't find a society. No, I just mean we're in a society, and they set up a legal system, and they call it the legislation, right? And we are the slave to that system. The whole thing about legislation, it is, or the legal system, it is about controversy. That's what it's for. It lives, breathes, and exists on controversy. So when we're actually talking about being in a private life, all we're talking about is removing all controversy from our lives, legally and lawfully, removing controversy and not creating controversy. Now, I'm not telling anyone what to do. You can all do what you want. But what I'm talking about is if you need to, or if you want to live in the private, which is what a lot of people say, we're going to live in the private. How do you do that? And say, I'm going to do this document and that document. Well, you don't need to do any documents. You just need to comprehend that you are man or woman under the Creator. And the only authority that is above you, or the only authority that there is the Creator. You see these people saying, oh, they're going to do like a status correction. But, you know, actually people have even said that I've done it for them when I never ever have. It's like, you know, we've got documents called a lawful notice and demand, and you can download it for free. And we even had someone that would do the documents if you paid them to do it. It's simply an affidavit. It states to them, I will not comply. Just like those badges that you used to get on the social media, which says, I will not comply, corrupt government. That's all it is. So you're telling them that you are not a person, that you are not an ens legis, that you are a man or a woman, and that you're living under the Creator and you won't comply with legislation. That's all it's for. But it doesn't mean that the Creator made a mistake when the Creator like literally gave you life and created you. So there is no mistake. So you can't correct anything. You are not more powerful than the Creator that you can write a bit of paper to correct the status. That just literally makes no sense. But you can get to know thyself. And when you get to know thyself, then you actually live under the Creator. Then you can be private. And then what you do is you remove controversy from your life, legal controversy, lawful controversy. You don't need to go off and run and fight the world when you actually learn. So, well, actually, this is all fraudulent, or maybe not fraudulent, but fictional. They've made a fictional world for me to live in. Everything they've told me is a lie. I've been living my entire life and indoctrinated, and now I'm not happy. So it doesn't mean that you have to go and run off and sort of like fight all of these government organizations. You need to learn how to actually be a man or a woman and stand under the Creator and be in law rather than legal. So when we're saying legal compared to lawful, what we're meaning is standing privately as a man or a woman. Doesn't mean that you have to run up and be fighting all of these battles. You can if you like, and you can do what you like. I've got no advice for anybody, not giving any legal advice, not telling anybody what to do. But, you know, if you're fighting council tax because some cult told you to do so, or you're fighting off, you know, like your gas and electric and water, you're causing controversy. How can you be private if people are banging on your door and giving you grief all the time? We're on about being in the private. And when you're in the private, and the people that I actually know and that I have actually trained with and I've studied under and studies with for years, They've been running a private life for years. They have got what we could call sovereign enterprises. Sovereign enterprises meaning they're doing commerce, but it's in the private, and they have been for years, and they're not getting problems, they're not getting hassles, they're not getting approached or banging on the door or anything, because they're keeping private, and they're just getting on with being their man or woman life under the creator, and they're running these sovereign enterprises where, you know, they are doing commerce, and what they're doing is they're actually doing an exchange for either a donation or compensation for their time, their property, right? And your time is your property. Your body is your property. If you stand under the creator and know what you're actually doing, this is how you act, and this is how you work. This is how you should be acting, and this is how you can go through life, by doing commercial enterprises, knowing what is your property and what is your time, and then you can exchange them for compensation or a donation. And then it's all in the private by private contracts. You can call it, if you like, something like a PMC or a PMA or something like that, but that is just an entity for Iron Man that at times uses that entity for the benefit of Iron Man to move forward. That is all it is. We're always going to be I, a man, I, a woman, going through things. Or even if I'm using a bank account, it's not, I'm not a person, right? Iron Man, I'm going to use the bank account for the benefit of Iron Man. The actual currency, let's just call it money so no one gets confused. We know it's fiat currency, all right? But that money in there it's my property. It's property of I, a man. The same as everything that we have. My body is property of I, a man. It was granted to me by the creator. No one else has that right apart from me. That's my property. My time is my property. My energy is my property. So when I help people and give them the energy, then that is my property that I'm sharing with them. My knowledge is me sharing with them. That is how you trade, if you want to call it trade, in the private, and how you actually like operate within a sovereign enterprise. So being private, that's how you don't worry about doing documents to actually go correct status or do anything, live life claim, or you don't need to be. All you need to do is be a man or a woman living under the creator, knowing thyself and what you actually stand for, and how you can actually trade using a sovereign enterprise with other man and woman. And we only deal with other man and woman. It's a man and woman, and it's not a private man, it's not a living man, it's not a sovereign man, it's a man. That's all it is. A man who actually does commerce in the private, so they actually only deal with other man and woman, and that's all it is. It's not a private man, living man, sovereign man, free man. It's a man under the creator, and that's all there is. So there will be plenty then going to that weekend. So that will be good to go along, and you'll be mixing with like-minded people. And I would probably guarantee, or probably can't guarantee, but I would bet you like 99.9% guarantee that none of them have been taking any jelly bean juice. So, you know, you'll not have to worry about anything like that. And it should be an enjoyable time. We're going to be like hoping that we get the good weather for it. Cumbria is a beautiful place. It's right next to the lakes. You're going to be in the countryside. It's going to be very enjoyable. And by then, fingers crossed, we should actually have some information coming through from that V888 and be able to say, did it work or didn't it? Did they try and like give us like some fub, and it was just like, yeah, that's a load of rubbish or whatever? We've got to dig, and we've got to find these things out. It's better than sending all of these affidavits off to like whatever a name is in DVLA and saying, you know, if you don't rebut this, then I'm going to take me plates off the car and going along that route. You know, at the end of the day, I want to actually be safe when I'm getting in a vehicle, be it traveling, driving, or even, you know, like sitting on top of it, like pretending I can stay with my feet. I don't care, right? I want to be safe when I go in there. I want to be safe when I'm putting my family in there. So I don't want people that are not capable of actually operating a vehicle to get from A to B without killing me. So, you know, I don't see anything wrong in having to pass a test or anything like that to be able to be safe on the road. I don't want people speeding, and I don't want them drinking. So, you know, to have these rules, right, there's nothing greatly wrong with them. I don't see being safe like that. I mean, but I quite enjoy being safe and not getting crushed to death by people that are driving crazy, speeding or drinking. The next video that I'm going to make, I am actually going to go through the GDPR process, how you can actually turn the tables on the actual debt collectors. Now, I've seen a lot of other people saying that you can do all these notices and 3-step this and 3-step that, and then you just keep writing backwards and forwards. But no one ever shows you how to actually close the thing down and how to actually get your own back on them and really stop them, boom, dead like that. So we've been working on this process. We've been going backwards and forwards. We've got like other people that we work with, barristers, solicitors, legal teams, other paralegals. And then we've actually been looking at how to set up legal, because it is, we're going to use legislation to do it, to actually go after a debt collector, right? And I'm talking about bank loans and credit cards. It may be able to be used only on stuff that they cannot bring the documentation forward, say like a liability order. But it's designed, the legislation that we're using, it's designed for credit, i.e. bank loan, credit cards, that thing, unsecured, not mortgages. So that's what it's for. And I'm going to show you, going through this system, how to use, right, their actual legislation, GDPR and DPA, how to flip it over, and then you are now chasing them. You are now harassing them, if you like, but you're not. You're actually just going down a proper legal route using their rules. I'll show you them, all coming out of the civil court practice. Nice big fat book, all right? But we're actually talking about documentation and also the disclosure of it as well. So we're going to actually go through that. We've been setting this up and creating this, getting ready. Now I'm going to go through it step by step. I'm going to show you the first video on how you actually do an SAR, subject access request, not how you're actually going to do a 3-step process and then send them 3 million questions and then ask for like, oh, I've got my fee schedule. I have my fee schedule and I'm going to charge you £100 every minute that you don't answer me. And then if you don't do this, and then I'm going to charge you £1 million. No, I'm going to tell you how to do it legally, because we're in the legal world when you're using legislation. All right. That's a good thing about being able to have your public and private hats, your public and private lives. So how do we do that? Have a public and private hat. Well, when you want to live in the private, you put your private hat on. You stand there as a man or a woman under the creator, and you do not cause controversy, and you remove all controversy out of your life. And you act and you be private in your private life, living as a man, even having a sovereign enterprise where you can actually do commerce with other man and woman in the private through private contracts. Then, if you want to fight them using legislation, which you can do if you've ended up in debt and you have credit cards or bank loans that you want to actually fight, then you go public. And then you're going to actually use the legislation that you can use to turn on them, because it's there. And this is the thing. If you do not know your rights, you have none. I can't remember the proper term that they say, like those who slumber on the rights have none, something like that. But we're going to go public and we're going to use their actual legal statutes, their regulations to actually turn it on them and beat them. So that's how you actually move from being public and private. And you can be both. You can be a man. I'm in the man, I'm in the private. I actually have a sovereign enterprise. I'm doing private contracts with other man and woman. Here we're actually going through doing these private commercial enterprises, sovereign enterprises. But now I'm going to move into the public, and I'm going to stand there, and you are trying to actually steal from my person. It's my person. All right, it's not me, because remember, you have a person, but you are not a person. So we're going to use it in the public. Put your public hat on. We've just shown you it. Then you're going to use their legislation to fight them. So I'm going to go through that process, and I'm going to video it all. I'm going to show you it all. Keep an eye out for those videos coming up soon. Also, keep an eye out for some of the other interviews that we're going to be doing, getting some great, interesting interviews, people on, and keeping you all entertained, because remember, this is just for information and entertainment purposes only. We never give legal advice, financial advice, or even life how to live. We just show you information where it's interesting that you can actually enjoy. So it's for information and entertainment purposes only. Remember that thing, www.wtfestival.co.uk. Go and have a look at it, and we'll possibly see you up in Cumbria.